Friday, September 29th. Joey didn't show up for practice yesterday, but someone else did. We had been loosening up for about 10 minutes. The starters, including Victor, were taking shots at Chandra in the goal. The subs, including me, were kicking a ball around in a circle. I looked over toward the bus lanes and saw a white van pulling in. It had two high-tech looking antennas on top, one on the back that looked like a corkscrew and one in the middle that swiveled. Anyway, this van kept driving, right off the blacktop and over the grass toward our field. When it got closer, I could see that Tangerine Times was printed on the side. I suddenly got a sick feeling. Mom had actually done it. She had called Mr. Donnelly about our team, or at least about the girls on our team. The van pulled up next to Betty Bright's car, her 1967 yellow and white Mustang. A young guy with long hair and a big camera hanging around his neck jumped out of the driver's side. He set a black leather case down on the back of the Mustang. Mr. Donnelly got out of the other side. He had on a blue suit and carried a small notebook. He walked straight up to the coach, who was now on the sideline talking to Dolly. I drifted toward them to hear what they would say. It was obvious that Mr. Donnelly and Betty Bright knew each other. She shook hands with him and gave him a big smile. She stopped smiling pretty fast, though, when she saw the long-haired guy's case on her car. She started walking over there just as the photographer closed in on Nita and Maya and started taking pictures. Mr. Donnelly walked with her, opening his notebook. He said, "I understand that you have a couple of pretty special players on your team this year." The coach took the photographer's bag and dumped it on the ground. She said, "Uh-huh. And who would that be?" Mr. Donnelly flipped back a few pages in his notebook. "A girl named Maya and a girl named Chandra. They're both supposed to make the all-county boys team." When Dolly heard this, she yelled over, "Hey, Chandra, they want to talk to you, girl." Chandra had been focused on the shooters all this time. When she heard Dolly, she looked over, puzzled. Then she spotted the Tangerine Times van and the long-haired guy with his camera, and a look of terror came over her face. She spun around on her heels and sprinted away, right out of the goal, across the field, across the bus lanes, and into the school. Everybody stopped what they were doing and watched her go. Now that there was no one in goal, Victor walked up to the photographer and announced, "You must be here to interview me. I'm Victor Guzman, the captain of the first-place Tangerine Middle School War Eagles. How do you do?" The guy looked over at Mr. Donnelly. Then he said, "Excuse me," and he tried to get around Victor, but Victor blocked him and added, "You'll probably want to get some action shots of me before you do anything else." The photographer stared at him dumbly. Then he stepped back and lined up a picture of Victor, who struck a pose and smiled. The camera flashed and Victor added, "That's Victor Guzman. You know how to spell that? Guzman. Don't you go spelling my name wrong, or I'll have to mess you up." Hernando, Tino, and Mono crowded in front of the photographer next, telling him their names and demanding that he take their pictures. The guy looked over at Mr. Donnelly, who signaled at him to go ahead and do it. Mr. Donnelly said, "Look, Betty, I'm sorry for disrupting your practice. Can I just get the last names of the girls?" The coach still wasn't looking at him, and she still was not happy. "This is more disruptive than you could know, Mr. Donnelly. If you want to run a picture of our team, you should show Victor. He's our captain." Mr. Donnelly replied, "But he's not news, coach. Having girls on your team is news." "Not really. I've had girls on this team for 5 years. Why is it suddenly news?" Mr. Donnelly held up his hands to explain, and the coach looked at them. "You're the first-place team in the county. You have the top scorer in the county, and she's a girl." The coach nodded. "All right, fair enough. Her name is Maya Pandy, Pandhi. He wrote this down. Great, and what about Chandra?" "You never mind about Chandra. She doesn't want any part of newspapers or publicity, so that's the way it's going to be." Mr. Donnelly nodded. "Okay, I'll certainly respect her wishes." They shook hands again. The guy with the long hair saw this and broke away from the boys. He grabbed his bag, climbed up the driver's seat of the van, and the two of them drove back the way they came. Betty Bright watched them go, then walked slowly across the field and into the school. Victor sat down, so the rest of us did too. Finally, the coach and Chandra came walking out. By the time Chandra was back in goal to start the scrimmage, we had lost about 20 minutes of practice time. Like I said, this all happened yesterday. This morning, I looked in the Tangerine Times in the back of the sports section. There was no article about our team, but there was a photo. The wrong photo. It was a photo of Nita Shirali with the caption, "Maya Pandy leads all scorers in Tangerine County." Good going, Mom. Monday, October 2nd. I'm in classes with Teresa, Tino, Maya, Nita, and Henry D. all day. Now Joey has joined that group. The first and last periods of the day, science and language arts, do cross-curricular projects together. That means that we do a science-type project in science class, and we write about it in language arts class. I came in at the tail end of the last project, so all I could do was sit and listen to kids read their reports. They were really good. Now, we're starting a new cross-curricular project. Mrs. Potter passed out a project sheet that described what we're supposed to do, how we're supposed to do it, and how we're supposed to present it to the class. At the top of the project sheet, it says, Science, Language Arts, Cross-Curricular Project, Broad Topic, Florida Agriculture, Narrow Topic, an agricultural product that is native to this area of Florida, your topic, ? Mrs. Potter gave us 24 hours to form our groups of 4 to 6 kids. After that, she would form new groups of the leftovers, as she called them. I was looking over the project sheet with Joey when I saw Tino walking back toward us. He stopped at Henry D's desk and said, Yo, Henry D, you want to be in a group with Teresa and me? We got a hot idea. Henry D, whose real name is Henry Dilks, is a quiet country boy, always polite. He said, Thank you. I'd be pleased to. Tino bumped his fist down on top of Henry's and started back toward his desk. I called out to him, Hey, Tino, what about me and Joey? Can we be in your group? Tino stopped and looked at me surprised. He thought a minute and said, Yeah, why not? But it's our group. You got that? Yeah, sure. He returned to his seat and Joey said to me, What did you do that for? Do what? We got to get in a group, right? I don't want to be a leftover. So why don't we form our own group? With who? We need 4 to 6 people. With anybody at him. He shot an angry look at Tino. Come on, man. Henry's nice. Super nice. So is Teresa. And Tino's okay when he's by himself. Joey shook his head. He didn't believe me. That guy's bad news. I don't need this. I don't need this at all. Hey, this isn't soccer practice. It's science class. You're an ace in science, right? Joey glared at me. What are you saying? That I stink in soccer? No, I'm not saying that. I'm just saying that this is different. This is something that you're really good at. Joey finally agreed doubtfully. All right. Good. This will give you another kind of chance with people. A chance to get in with some of the people from the team. There was a strange pause. Joey finally said, I'm not on the team anymore. I couldn't believe what I was hearing. Since when? I turned in my uniform this morning. I looked at him, but he wouldn't look back. I finally said, That's it. You're just not on the team anymore, and that's it? Joey tightened up. Yeah, that's it. So what? What's it to you? It's nothing to me. I just don't understand. I thought you wanted to play soccer. Well, I don't. Not here anyway. He finally looked at me. Not anywhere. I'm going to play football when I get to high school. You understand that? I understood. I said, okay. And I was willing to leave it right there, but Joey wasn't. He was practically snarling now. I can't believe I let you talk me into this. And he gestured around the room. I let you talk me into coming to this dump. I suddenly became aware of the other kids around us as he went on. This place is like darkest Africa, like the Amazon jungle, like we're learning to live among the natives here. I took in the ugliness of Joey's words, and I saw for the first time how different he was from me. Different parents, different friends, different brother. The speaker came on and the gong sounded. I had to say something, so I muttered, I'm sorry you feel like that, and headed out, without him, into the crowded hallway. Tuesday, October 3rd. There's something I forgot to record here about Joey's first day at Tangerine Middle School. Or maybe I didn't forget. Maybe I just wanted to block it out. But after what he said yesterday, I can't. The scene came back to me today on the way home. It was like last Monday. I was sitting in homeroom. Suddenly, Joey walked in and handed Miss Pollard a pass. He was all by himself. No Teresa to show him around, like I had hoped. Miss Pollard told him to take a seat, so he came back and sat next to me. He was all smiles, and he said something like, Hey, so far so good. I said, Where's Teresa? Who? Teresa Cruz. I told you to ask for her as a guide. Oh, yeah. She's back in the office. I saw her there. What? Is she guiding somebody else today? Nah. I just said I didn't need it. What do I need a little guide dog for? A guide dog? You're calling Teresa a little guide dog? Joey laughed. Come on, man. Lighten up. What? Do you think she's good looking? I thought about that. Yeah, I guess I do. Joey still had that cocky smile plastered on his face. Then you've been here too long. I couldn't believe what I was hearing. I just shook my head. I finally said, I gotta tell you, you're coming in here with the wrong attitude. Hey, what's the big deal? I got here okay without a guide, right? You'd have to be blind to get lost in this place. Oh, is that right? So now you're calling me blind? No, I'm not calling you blind. You're calling Teresa a dog. No, I'm just pointing out that she's not my type. The bell rang for first period. All I had time to say was, don't do this. Don't come in here with attitude. Like I said, that scene came back to me today. We had our first meeting for the science project. Each group of kids pulled their desks together. The leftover kids then got put into their own groups. Joey and I pulled our desks into a circle with Henry D., Teresa, and Tino. I was surprised when Teresa, not Tino, took charge of the meeting, and it was obvious that she had done this sort of thing before. Teresa began by reading the assignment aloud to research and present information about an architectural product that is native to this area of Florida. Then she passed out a glossy one-page ad with a picture of a citrus tree laden with fruit. When we heard this assignment, Tino and I knew right away what we were going to write about. I just gave you all an advertisement for an agricultural product that was developed by our brother Luis. It's a new variety of citrus that he has named the Golden Dawn Tangerine. This tangerine is seedless, very juicy, and very resistant to cold weather, which makes it perfect for this area. Luis thinks it could even return this area to its former prominence as the tangerine capital of the world. He just got it registered with the state this year as a new variety. Now he is starting to market it to citrus growers in Florida, California, and Mexico. So our report is going to be called the Golden Dawn Tangerine. Teresa passed out sheets of paper that had our report title typed across the top. She said, "What we want to do today is divide up the research part of the project. Tino and I will concentrate on Luis's invention and what he had to do to register it with the state. Somebody else can do the history of the citrus industry in this area. Henry, we thought you could do that part. When did citrus growing start here? What are the types of trees that grow best here? That kind of thing." Henry D. nodded and jotted something down. Then Teresa turned to me. "Somebody else could do the basic research on what a tangerine is and how it is grown. We thought that you and your friend could handle that." I nodded. Teresa added, "Any questions?" Henry D. said, "Excuse me, how long did it take for your brother to invent this tangerine?" Tino answered, "His whole life. I can't remember a time when Luis wasn't working on this, and I don't know if Teresa made this clear or not, but this is a really big deal. It's like inventing a new kind of medicine or something. Luis is going to be famous for doing this." Teresa said, "Luis is real interested in helping us too. He'll answer questions and he'll show us how it's all done. We figure we'll get all this research in. Then we'll have an organizational meeting, probably with Luis. Then each group can write its section of the report and give it to me and I'll type it all up." Joey interrupted her. "Just put it all on a disk and give it to me. I'll run it off on the laser jet at home." Teresa looked away. She seemed flustered. She said, "We don't have a computer. We use a typewriter." Tino snapped at him. "You got a problem with that, Tuna?" Joey stared him down. "No, I don't have a problem with that. I guess I got a problem with you." "Yeah? You gotta have a big problem with me. Bigger than you know, chump." I felt I had to head this off, so I said, "Come on, you guys, forget this." "Shut up," Tino snarled. His eyes locked on Joey's. "Joey," I said, "it's Tino's group, right? We agreed to that when we joined." Joey stood up and moved his desk back. He looked at me with disgust. "You agreed to that." "You'd agree to anything." "Not me. I'm joining another group." He started to drag his desk away, but then he stopped and looked at Tino, adding sarcastically, "Not that your brother and his new type of banana aren't fascinating." Tino jumped up and lunged at him, but Joey was too fast. He leaned back and Tino flew past him, landing on the desks of the next group. Mrs. Potter was there before he could recover. She got a grip on Tino's arm, and hustled him out into the hallway. Joey turned on me. "This is how you get by here, right? You kiss up to these guys? You're scared of these guys? What are you talking about? I'm not scared." "You're a gutless wonder, Fisher. You're afraid of girls. You're afraid of your own brother. Now you're afraid of these lowlifes. They treat you like a dog and you take it. Take it. You like it. You think they're your friends." Everyone's eyes were on Joey. He was red-faced and angry. "Let me tell you something. You're bigger than this little punk. You know that? And I'm bigger than you. If he ever messes with me again, I don't care where it is, I'm going to punch him out." Mrs. Potter stepped back into the classroom and signaled for Joey to join her in the hall. He walked out and everybody's eyes turned to me. I had no clue what to do. I just stood there. Finally, Teresa broke the tension. "So were you joining another group or what?" I answered immediately. "No, I want to stay here." Teresa spoke to the class. "Then let's all sit down." I spent the rest of the period staring at a blank piece of paper, trying to sort out what had happened. Joey came back at the end of the period and sat down with the leftover group behind me. Tino didn't come back at all. The word at practice was that he had been suspended for 3 days.